This is KT Radio 87.7. We are live at the Eliza Hotel Tema, where Center for Democratic Development Ghana CDD-Ghana is organizing a special workshop for journalists and media practitioners across the country on electoral reforms. I have here with me Dr. Kojo Asante. Yeah, he is the director for programs and policy monitoring or engagement at CDD.
Yeah.
Look, welcome to KT Radio.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, what's the essence of this workshop?
I think in the run up to any election, we always engage the media because for us, the media play an important role, at least in the Fourth Republic, in promoting election in transparency and integrity. So if you look at all the different things that the media does in terms of mediating the discourse, for example, between candidates, citizens, between even electoral commission, other election stakeholders, they are providing information to the public from what the electoral commission wants to do, issues that they are raising, the police want to do. Even on election day, they are covering, reporting what is going on. So the media plays an important role. So it's always the role would always be enhanced if you prepare journalists, you prepare the media ahead of the elections. And one of the things that we wanted to raise this time around was election reform because come the post 2020 election, there were things that we realized that we needed to work on before the 2024 elections. Unfortunately, we couldn't do much in the intervening years, and it's come to this election year, but it's not too late. We still think these are issues that we need to try and address before going into the 2024 election.
Can you pinpoint some of these key issues that you tabled before the policymakers for reforms?
You would realize that over the last two elections, election day voting has not been contentious. Most people are able to go vote in long queues, mostly by 4 o'clock. Most people have voted. The counting process is not complicated. The issue has always been with the collation process, the management around that, and then also the announcement process. And then the post announcement, where people go to court and litigate and so on. So there's a lot that we can do to try to address the violence and the challenges that we have. We had it in 2016, we had it in 2020. That seems still be the issue. And some of it is because we don't have very standardized ways of correcting mistakes on the result sheet at the polling station. It goes to the collation center. There's discretion with the returning officer. We need a standardized guideline from the EC around how you deal with errors, for instance. We also need ways in which we can publish the polling station data after the election. Initially, we wanted to do it simultaneously with setting up an electronic transmission system. The EC has said it's not going to be able to do that in this election, but we still have to publish the polling station data for transparency. And then also parliamentary elections, we had almost 16 cases going to court, and on average, most of them were traveling for 16 months, 2 years and over. We need to reduce that just like we did with the presidential elections, because a lot of that has affected our governance structure. Remember all the issues we had with the hung parliament, who is majority, who is minority, who elects the speaker, who can approve a budget. All of that became very, very contentious. So we need to shorten the time for adjudicating parliamentary cases. And then if we do those things, I think it would mitigate some of the bad effects that we've gotten at the results management level.
For some time ago, there was an issue with change of date for the elections.
Yes.
And then there was a talk of the removal of the indelible ink.
Yes.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, fortunately, I think both issues have been, well, let's say they've shelved for the next election. But the good thing is that the EC has committed to start the process early, because I think a lot of the reform issues, if right after the election, at least between the 2-3 years that before you have your next election. If you are able to clear it, then everybody's comfortable. You can test all systems you want for us. So for me, I think that the most important thing about it is that for all of these issues, let's consult. The more consultation we get, the more likely we get compliance from all the stakeholders. And then, the election process will be, better for it.
Mm. And then talking about going to the 2024 elections,
Mm.
there are 55% youth
Mm.
who constitute the total number of voters.
Mm.
And these politicians, they resort on these young people to perpetrate violence. And then also on social media too, they're targeting them as well. What do I advise?
Well, I think that number is going to increase. We already got, I think, the last DLE computations, you had almost like 80% of registrants being first-time voters. So if that's the case, and then we're going to do another registration, which will probably also be first-time voters, then you are looking at maybe 60% of the voter population being between 18 and 35. So that's a lot of young people who really have the power to decide. Young people are experiencing huge challenges like unemployment, economic challenges, educational challenges. This is the opportunity to basically sort of empower themselves. Choose somebody that will solve your problem rather than go and follow a politician to go and engage in violence. The power really is in their hands. They are going to elect the next president. So I think it's to remind them that their power is in their vote and not in following a politician to go and engage and if you are going to be online, utilize your time. It's not to go and be engaged in disinformation and misinformation, rather to engage in the discourse. What kinds of issues are being proposed or solutions are being proposed by the parties and the candidates, so that you can be informed and make a decision based on that. So I think there's real opportunity for young people to determine this election in a way that would push their own agenda, help them resolve unemployment and other issues.
Right, thanks so much for speaking to
You're
KT
welcome.
Radio.